Yo, 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 what is this? Burning Crusade Classic, are you prepared? By MadSeasonShow, let's have a look. The Dark Portal.
Hey guys, what's up? MadSeason here, back with another video for you. So, big news on the Classic front recently. Ever since the Cataclysm expansion released and the old world was lost forever, players have been pining for an official re-release of Classic. And now that that's out, players have been pining for an official re-release of the Burning Crusade.
We need to have classic TBC servers. We need to have classic Wotlic servers. I am telling you, the demand is gonna be enormous because people know what the best expansions are.
You are not prepared!
Yup.
The big idea is that the game will go down one of three directions after the release of the final raid, Nexramus. Either A, nothing will happen and the game will stagnate. B, they'll work on completely new content for Classic, such as new raids and dungeons, commonly referred to as Classic Plus. Or C, they'll do the same thing they did with Classic with the Burning Crusade.
I'm pretty sure there's gonna be basic Classic, and the reason for it is that, it's Blizzard and they just love money, it is what it is. Classic Plus, I think it might be a success, but, it requires resources, and yeah. And just to do nothing, so you're gonna do nothing even though you have this already made game that you made 10 years ago and you're not gonna cash out on it. I don't think that's gonna happen. So yeah, I'm pretty sure we can have a BC Classic soon.
Well, very recently, we got a hint of an answer as Blizzard sent out some surveys to players about the latter option, the Burning Crusade, asking them if they would play a re-release of the expansion, and if so, how should they implement it. Now, nothing is confirmed yet, of course, but this does bode well for those looking for the Burning Crusade, as it wouldn't be the first time we got a sneak peek of the future through these surveys. Long before the Shadowlands announcement, one survey asked about the idea of a level squish, and lo and behold, at BlizzCon last year, it was announced the Shadowlands pre-patch would bring just that. I also did some analysis of the release dates as well. Classic released in August of last year, and if you go by raid tiers, we got Blackwing Lair 5-ish months later in February. For major raids, we of course have two more, and that's AQ40 and Nexramus. And assuming that we also have a 4 to 5-ish month wait between these raids as well, that means we'll get Phase 6 and Nexramus around November or December of this year, which lines up perfectly with BlizzCon. So, assuming that Nax is out by then, and Classic is quote finished, what better time than BlizzCon to announce the Burning Crusade Classic? That would be the perfect opportunity, as you'd be able to retain as many players as possible by announcing it on the big stage and addressing that elephant of the room.
Blizzard, they just want to keep rolling, they're starting cashing out, they will just do this, just because of the bag. And I think that it's really important that they will have a dedicated team that will be helping to maintain healthy TBC servers. And I think also there needs to be the team that will be handling so many issues that TBC might be bringing, like faction imbalance, and also for example that Blood Elf Paladins are gonna be having Seal of Blood that is much more powerful than Alliance Seal of Vengeance. So they need to be fixing also that one, and I think that they will just need to give to Alliance Paladins Seal of Blood. I think it's necessary, and there will be many things that has to be considered. Like, what, for example, are you gonna do if you just have a server where there is like so many Alliance players and also many Horde players? Like, are you gonna be giving some extra, like extra reputation, like some private servers are doing? If you're gonna, I think there should be some reward if you're playing the faction that are not having so many players and that are in minority.
Which is that stagnation. The stage seems to be set, and it lines up suspiciously well. Don't get too far ahead of yourself, but if that's a sign of things to come, all of you BC fans may find that pretty encouraging. However, the logistics behind a BC re-release and how to handle the transfer has been discussed at length between the players. I have a whole video about it, in fact, but let's look at each option one by one. So first, presumably, we have all existing servers going to the Burning Crusade, and players are given the option of transferring off to a permanent Classic server that never progresses past 60. And on the flip side, we have the opposite. All servers remain Classic, and you never go past 60, and you have the option of transferring to servers that will progress to the Burning Crusade.
I think the second option might be more possible and more because I think there will be more. That's actually a good question. Is there gonna be more people who wanna stay on Classic, or is there gonna be more people who wanna go to TBC? Because I think that definitely there will be. Okay, my guess right now is that 30% of the people would stay on Classic and 70% of the people would be coming to TBC. And I'm pretty sure we will have also people who will be playing Classic and TBC at the same time.
And lastly, we have two more options. Completely new BC servers where you start at level 1, or completely new BC servers where you start at level 58. So, interesting choices here. They all have their ups and downs naturally. Now, anyone who plays Classic will tell you that the community is a big part of the game. It can be really toxic, that's for sure, but regardless, a big part. You see the same people over and over, and recognize players that you like, and players that you can't stand. So naturally, with talk of all of these server transfers and whatnot, it brings up about 100 different arguments on how it would affect the community, and so on and so forth. I mean, come on. We're talking about a community that has nuclear meltdowns over blob shadows and doxes each other over ninja looting. Before we get into the...
Bro, they added 2 extra slots to the backpack if you're gonna be securing your account, and people on Reddit, they just went mayhem. You know, they just had a mental breakdown because, you know, 2 extra slots. We said no changes, and now you're changing it, and you're giving us extra slots, and I cannot stand it, and I have to go crazy. So yeah, the community is insane, but we love it.
The pros and cons of each option, I think the most important thing is to give the player the choice, which they seem to be in line with because, after all, this is a survey. So let's just acknowledge the fact that this could be something that they could just force on people, but they're being mindful of what the players actually want, which is a good thing. Each one is tricky though. Starting with 1 here, the pro of this option is that it most accurately replicates the original launch of the expansion back in 07. You're on an established server, the Burning Crusade launches, and that's it. That's how it worked back in the day, and if you like Classic and you don't want to be a part of BC, you have the option of transferring off to a server with like-minded people. The downside is what I just mentioned. If Current has taught us anything, it's that the community is a very fragile thing, and when you start introducing things like transfers, it can get hairy. Let's say your server has a super active raiding and PvP scene and people are playing all the time, and you like playing Classic, and then the day comes, and maybe 90% of the players went to BC, including your guild and most of your friends, and Ironforge goes from this to this. Option 2, again, is to keep the servers the same, but give the option to transfer off. It's the same idea here. A possible mass exodus of players from Classic to BC, and you're left with a fraction of the amount of players that you used to have in Classic. Another downside of both of these options is that there's presumably no turning back, as these are transfers and not copies. If you transfer off, you transfer off. This makes the volatility in the community even worse, because if there were copies, you'd always have that door open and being able to maybe play both if you wanted to. You'd of course have to combat duping gold.
I think coping and duplicating might be okay, but I think that you shouldn't really be able to copy your gear, because I think it's kind of like, I don't know. There's actually quite a lot of good options, but so are you supposed to actually have a good gear also on your Classic server and also on your TBC server?
And items with copies though, which would be tricky. The only way I know of off the top of my head is for Blizzard to copy the entire server of characters themselves. If you put it in the players' hands, they'll 100% exploit it if they can. For option 3, we have completely new servers where you start at level 1, assuming that existing servers would be capped at 60 still.
But I know a lot of people who already, for example, leveled their character, they just will have no time to level up the second character and just go all over the same content. I don't think this is I don't think this is gonna happen. I think it's gonna be either one or either two.
A pro of this method is you don't directly fiddle with the community on existing servers, as those characters would be untouched and players could always go back.
Asmon Bolt bet over here. Okay.
If they wanted to. A downside though is that it indirectly affects the community. You're not losing actual characters on these realms, but there still will be a large percentage of players that on launch will never play Classic again, even though they do have the option of going back. Nothing can really be done about that though, as it's a problem that's tied more to the release of BC itself, rather than the method of transitioning from Classic to BC. And another downside is that it wouldn't be as accurate of an experience. In the original launch, we of course had full vanilla rating gear, a stockpile of gold for some, rare mounts or items, and it's a similar story for starting at level 58. You just don't have to grind as much. I personally prefer that if they go down this route, you start at level 1, because level 58s kinda get into that territory of level boosts. I'm aware that you don't pay for it, but still, there's just something wrong with clicking a button and spawning at level 58, I think. I know that content is mainly aimed for BC, but you get a lot at level 58. Any profession for one. A lot of this stuff is still good for BC. Tanks still use Thunder Fury, so you can get all the Arcanite you want, 18 slot bags with Mooncloth. Plus, this would result in every single zone under 58 to be completely dead, which just isn't healthy. The old world is still important, and starting at 58 would make everything but the Outland barren for the most part. Maybe a solution to this would be...
MadSeason, you are actually bringing really valid points. God damn. Now when I think about it, this is gonna be a tough choice, fellas. Write me in the comments what do you think about this, but yeah, this is gonna be complicated.
To make it a one-time thing, and any alts you level would start from 1. So, like I said, there's a lot to consider. It's not as simple as just releasing the Burning Crusade, and honestly, I think it's a hard choice. All of these pros and cons are pretty close to each other in my book. I think if it were possible, it would be best if we got copies instead of transfers.
Yeah,
So for example, we have Fairlena Classic, and then Blizzard copies every character, and then we have Fairlena BC, and that way you don't burn that bridge to Classic forever. This is also the best option for maintaining the community as well, I think.
because Blizz, there's actually, right now when I'm thinking about it, there is actually also a good question. Are you gonna be having one subscription for Classic, and then you're gonna have another subscription for TBC, or is it gonna be included in one subscription? I think right now, when I'm just considering all these options, I think that if you just copy your character so you can be still playing the Classic content and you can be still enjoying the BC content, and you can be having kind of like an experience like it was back in the days, authentic, I think that might be actually a good point. But I think there might be some limitation, like for example, you won't be able to take 20,000 gold to BC. It's just not gonna be fair. I think there might be some limits for these things. Like, let's say that you might take your gear, your profession, and 300 gold, for example. That might be a possibility.
With the first two options, you have a choice. Either you maintain your established communities for Classic or BC, not both. And with 3 and 4, the community basically starts from scratch. Whereas with copies, your entire community remains in Classic, and your entire community moves on to the BC in one piece. I guess a downside with this is that you'd basically be doubling the number of servers, which again gets into that issue of are there enough players to support both Classic and BC. All I can say is that if I was capable of emotion, it's definitely excitement. People always ask Classic Plus versus Burning Crusade, and even though I'd play either, I've always said I'd prefer BC because I want a shot at actual progression rating. I played BC, but I was one of those people who played vanilla so much, I kind of burnt out and played BC casually. I also had lots of big life stuff happen to me, so I've always felt like I missed out on the real experience. I think it would come at a cost though. Classic has been doing great in my opinion, but I don't know if it would survive a Burning Crusade release. Blizzard got a huge amount of new subscribers with Classic, but I feel like most people who want a Classic style of MMO are playing Classic right now. I think the jump in subs would be very minor in comparison to when they released Classic. I think it would really cannibalize their own player base, and you definitely see some servers die. I think there would always be a few.
I think that the server merges just must happen, and definitely there's gonna be a big hit for the Classic servers, but that's just the way it is, and you should be just, I think, just merging the servers, and that's gonna be the solution. If you're gonna have a dead server, just merge it with the other one, you know?
Classic servers rolling, but if you start rolling out BC or even Wrath later on or whatever, I'm still waiting for that Draenor Classic, you're spreading that community pretty thin, and for BC to be successful, it may require that Classic fails. The idea of re-rolling and starting fresh is something that's always really appealing to people, and if they go down the BC route, it'll basically be a great but stagnant game versus a fresh new start, and I think the player base would take a ginormous hit. Current and Classic can kind of live together since they're so different at this point. Current, of course, having 15 years of development added to it. It's almost a symbiotic relationship because they fill different niches, but Classic and BC are so similar, I think, that I'm not sure how many people would really find the time to play both consistently. But then again, what's the alternative?
Imagine that right now you're having players who are having 5 alts. So it's gonna be something similar, like in BC they're just gonna have 2 characters, and in Classic they're just gonna have 2 characters. So I think that it's possible, but definitely Classic is gonna take a hit.
In action? How many people do you think the post-Next Rammus stagnation would retain? I mean, I could play Classic forever, but my love for it can be deemed to be slightly irrational to the normal person. Just slightly though. I'm sure that this will be debated ad nauseum for the next several months, and I'm sure that Blizzard themselves will be looking at how things progress and go from there. Feel free to share your thoughts. It's exciting, that's for sure, but definitely dangerous to Classic. I'm sure there will be a lot of people ecstatic over this, and others furious. If there's one thing that the Classic community has taught me, it's that everyone's pissed.
Bro, everybody is gonna be angry. Yeah, you just deleted my character. No, you're not deleted the character, but you know what I mean. Everybody's just, no changes. And then I think that at this point, some changes are just necessary. This is just not 2002. You know, you gotta just adjust to the new ages, to the new times. And I think it's gonna be necessary. Fellas, write me in the comments what do you think, but I think right now, after watching this video, that if you copy your character, a Classic character, to the BC realm, I think that might be a good solution, but there must be some limit for the gold. Like, you cannot just transfer 20,000 gold. I think that's not gonna be fair for the other BC players. And I think the new fresh servers, like TBC servers, it might be a good experience, but it's not gonna be the same like the BC release, because, you know, as you mentioned, MadSeason, when the BC was released, everybody was having their vanilla gear, and they were just going into BC with kind of like their stuff, and they were just like killing each other with the good gear. I think definitely it's gonna be exciting. Definitely it's gonna be very interesting. The new raids, guys. Lady Vash, this Blood Elf Prince, what is his name? Keltas? I think Keltas. Black Temple, Hellfire Peninsula. This is gonna be crazy, fellas. It's gonna be crazy. New mounts, flying, dragons, Sunwell Plateau. In my personal opinion, Black Temple and Sunwell Plateau are having some of the most beautiful armory sets and weapons in the whole game. And also you're gonna be having really good arena system. TBC is just gonna be awesome, and I just can't wait. It's gonna be amazing. Fellas, please support MadSeason's video, Burning Crusade Classic, are you prepared? And also please subscribe to MadSeason Show. Also, afterwards, after you're done, please leave a like on my video and subscribe to my channel. Write me in the comment what video am I supposed to check out in the next one. Thank you for watching. TBC is gonna be amazing. See you in the next one. Bye.